Emma never planned to take a finance class. Numbers bored her, charts confused her, and people who claimed to love spreadsheets made her suspicious. She was a marketing student, creative, impulsive, better with words than equations. But the university had requirements, and the only finance elective left open that semester was the one taught by her, Dr. Charlotte Hale. The name alone carried a reputation across campus. She was known for being sharp, precise, and intimidatingly brilliant. Rumor said she'd graduated top of her class at the London School of Economics, that she spoke in numbers the way poets spoke in metaphors. Students said she never smiled, never bent the rules, and never gave out A's unless you earned them by blood. Emma told herself she'd survive it, show up, take notes, pass, and leave. Nothing more. But the first morning she sat in that lecture hall, watching Charlotte Hale walk in, something inside her shifted. Charlotte wasn't what Emma had expected. Yes, she was serious. Everything about her posture said control. But there was something magnetic about her too. A calm intensity that filled the room without effort. Her hair was tied up, glasses perched perfectly, voice low and measured as she spoke. Finance, she began, isn't just numbers. It's language. It's the story of choices we make when life doesn't give us guarantees. Emma blinked. She wasn't sure what she'd expected, something dry maybe, but not that, not poetry disguised as economics. As Charlotte continued, Emma found herself listening, really listening for the first time. The words sank deeper than she wanted them to. Still, she decided it meant nothing. Professors could be impressive. That didn't mean they could make her feel anything. At least, that's what she thought. Over the next few weeks, Emma found her Monday mornings strangely different. She started arriving early for class. She sat closer to the front. She took notes even when she didn't need to, just to have a reason to look up and meet Charlotte's eyes when she spoke. And Charlotte noticed. Whenever Emma raised her hand, Charlotte would tilt her head slightly, that small, almost secret smile playing at the corner of her lips. "Go on, Miss Lewis," she'd say, her voice softening in a way Emma hadn't heard her use with anyone else. It became their rhythm, this subtle, silent exchange between logic and longing. After class, Emma would sometimes linger, pretending to organize her notes while Charlotte gathered her papers. Every now and then, Charlotte would glance at her, as if tempted to say something, then think better of it. It was nothing. It was everything. Then came that night. It was late November, the city cold and wet, when Emma's flatmate Zoe convinced her to go out. "You've been buried in books for weeks," Zoe complained. "There's a rock concert tonight. Come with me." Emma wasn't the rock concert type, but she was too tired to argue. They queued outside the venue, shivering, surrounded by strangers in leather jackets and black eyeliner. And then Emma saw her. At first, she thought she must be imagining things. But there, just a few people ahead, laughing with friends and holding a ticket in one hand, was Charlotte Hale. Her hair was loose, falling over her shoulders. She wore a black jacket, dark jeans, and a grin Emma had never seen in class, carefree, unguarded, alive. For a moment, Emma simply stared. Then Charlotte turned and their eyes met. Recognition flashed. Then surprise. Then something else. "Emma," Charlotte said when they reached the same point in line. "Didn't expect to see you here." Emma swallowed. "Didn't expect to see you here either, Dr. Hale." Charlotte laughed softly. "Charlotte, tonight." Just Charlotte. The words made something flutter inside Emma's chest. They discovered they both had standing tickets, front section. "Looks like fate has a sense of humor," Charlotte said, and Emma tried not to read too much into it. Inside, the venue came alive. Lights flashed, drums thundered, the crowd moved like one wild heartbeat. Emma felt the vibration through her chest, through her skin, through her pulse. And when she turned, Charlotte was beside her. So close their shoulders brushed every time someone pushed past. She didn't look like a professor now. Her eyes gleamed under the stage lights, her lips curved in laughter, hair messy from dancing. Every once in a while, she'd glance at Emma and smile. Quick, secret, devastating. During one of the slower songs, Charlotte leaned close to say something, her breath warm against Emma's ear. "This is my favorite one." Emma turned to answer and found her face just inches away. The air between them trembled. The music faded. The crowd disappeared. For one long heartbeat, they simply stared at each other. Then Charlotte blinked and looked away, smiling faintly. "Careful," she murmured. "You'll miss the best part." But Emma didn't remember a single note of that song. After the concert, the city felt quieter than it should have. Zoe had left early with friends, and somehow, so had Charlotte's group. Emma was about to call a cab when she heard that familiar voice behind her. "Walking home?" She turned. Charlotte was there, hair damp from the drizzle, a small smile on her lips. "I was going to grab a coffee," Charlotte said. "There's a place near the pier that's still open." "Join me?" Emma hesitated. "Isn't that, improper?" Charlotte finished for her, amused. "Maybe. But it's only coffee." So Emma went. The cafe was nearly empty, a quiet hum of jazz playing in the background. They sat by the window, steam rising from their cups, rain streaking the glass outside. Charlotte shrugged off her jacket and, without asking, draped it around Emma's shoulders. "You're freezing," she said, her fingers brushing the back of Emma's neck in a way that felt both practical and impossible. They sat on the same side of the booth, their knees touching beneath the table, their laughter blending into the soft clinking of cups. Somewhere between stories about music and life and the cities they wanted to visit, Charlotte reached up and wiped away a raindrop that had clung to the corner of Emma's mouth. "Sorry," she said quickly, startled at herself. "Habit. I'm forever tidying what doesn't want to be tidy." Emma smiled faintly. "Charlotte," she said, testing the name. Charlotte's lips curved. "Emma." They talked until the cafe began to close. When the waitress brought the bill, Charlotte scribbled her number on the back of the receipt and slid it toward Emma. "For the playlist you promised to send me," she said, "and the photo." "What photo?" Charlotte held up her phone, stepped closer and snapped it. Both of them half laughing, faces close, shoulders pressed. In the photo, Emma's eyes were on Charlotte instead of the camera. Outside, the rain was steady but softer now. They stood under the awning, neither reaching for an umbrella. "I'll send it to you," Charlotte said. Emma nodded. "You'd better." They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. The air between them already held the weight of everything unspoken. On the night bus home, Emma texted the playlist. A few minutes later, Charlotte replied, "You held my hand for 2 verses during the slow song." "I didn't want you to let go." Emma stared at the screen, heart pounding, before typing back, "I didn't realize." "I did," Charlotte never replied. But she didn't need to. Monday arrived and Charlotte was back inside her borders, Dr. Hale again, crisp professional, unreachable. She lectured with perfect calm, never once meeting Emma's eyes. The photo sat in both their phones. The number stayed saved, unsent. The jacket's scent lingered faintly in Emma's scarf. They built a wall made of silence, and yet cracks showed through it every time their eyes met by accident. When Charlotte handed back Emma's midterm, their fingers brushed. A second, no more, but it felt like 2 verses all over again. December came, grey and endless. One afternoon, Emma stood outside Charlotte's office, pretending to read the feedback on her assignment. She knocked before she could talk herself out of it. "Miss Lewis," Charlotte said when she looked up. "Come in." Emma stepped inside. The office smelled like coffee and rain. Stacks of journals lined the shelves in neat, exact rows. Charlotte gestured to the chair across from her. "What can I help you with?" "It's not about finance," Emma said quietly. Charlotte tilted her head. "Then what is it about?" "You've been different lately," Emma said. "Since that night." The silence between them stretched until it hurt. Charlotte leaned back, folding her hands tightly. "Emma, we crossed a line we shouldn't have. First names off campus, ours alone, the photo, the number, the concert. I should have known better." Emma looked at her. "Is it better like this? Pretending nothing happened?" Charlotte's voice wavered. "It has to be." Emma stood slowly, gathering her notes. But before she reached the door, Charlotte said her name, softly, almost like a secret. "Emma." She turned. Charlotte's expression had lost all its armor. "You made me remember what it feels like to be curious again." Emma's throat tightened. "That's all I've been since the day I met you." Neither moved. Then Emma left, heart pounding. They didn't talk again until after the holidays. When classes resumed in January, something between them had changed. Charlotte wasn't cold anymore, just careful. They spoke briefly before lectures, exchanged small smiles, meaningless words that meant everything. Sometimes Charlotte lingered at her desk while Emma packed up. Sometimes Emma stayed behind, pretending not to notice. The tension had softened, but it hadn't disappeared. It hummed quietly beneath every word they shared. When the final project was announced, Charlotte told the class, "Finance isn't about numbers. It's about the stories behind them." Emma knew exactly what hers would be. She stayed up all night writing it. A story disguised as an essay, about risk and trust and all the invisible values people never measure. She called it interest. When she turned it in, she felt exposed. A week later, the paper came back with no grade written on it, just a note. "You see the world too beautifully to fit inside formulas. Cafe by the pier, Friday, 7 p.m., CH." When Emma arrived, the same lamp glowed above their table, the same rain tracing silver streaks down the window. Charlotte was waiting, hair loose again, a softness in her eyes that didn't belong to the professor Emma once feared. "You came," Charlotte said quietly. "You invited me." Charlotte nodded. "I wanted to see you without pretending this time." Emma sat down, heart racing. "You're not my professor anymore." "No," Charlotte said, almost smiling. "Not anymore." They sat in silence for a while, the air between them fragile and full. Then Charlotte reached across the table, her fingers brushing Emma's hand, hesitant, deliberate. "Tell me to stop," she whispered. Emma didn't. The kiss that followed wasn't hurried or reckless. It was soft, certain, the kind that happens when every boundary has already been crossed in silence long before lips ever meet. When they finally pulled apart, Charlotte's voice trembled. "This time, we don't have to pretend." Weeks later, Emma walked across the stage at graduation. She spotted Charlotte in the crowd, standing at the back, smiling, hands clasped together. After the ceremony, they met by the pier once more. The sky was the color of melted gold. Charlotte looked at her with quiet affection. "You know, you are the most unpredictable variable I've ever encountered." Emma laughed. "And you were the best risk I ever took." Charlotte's eyes warmed. "Then maybe we both got the right return." They stood there in silence, the sea wind in their hair, the horizon open before them. For the first time, nothing between them needed to be hidden. What began as a lesson in numbers had become a story about faith, timing, and the unpredictable arithmetic of two people who finally stopped running from what was already theirs.